The Hayumana follows the character Johnny Kaloa, who is a struggling singer in a lounge. He unexpectedly is called upon to guide a group of high school students in a hula class after the death of his former teacher, who is known as Auntie Margaret in the film. As he guides his students through the sacred art of hula, Johnny goes on a personal journey to reconnect with his own Hawaiian roots. To highlight the main characters in the film, we have Johnny Kaloa, Solomon, Timo, Lei, Yosh, Napua, Kaleo, and Auntie Margaret. In the film's final performance, Johnny takes the stage as the Kumu, exactly as Auntie Margaret wanted him to. He is finally representing himself as a leader rather than a disconnected lounge singer. He is leading his students to carry the weight of the tradition. They all do a flawless job. You can see it's not just individual dedication, but a collective spirit that Auntie Margaret had instilled upon them. The connection between Johnny and his students is very important. At the beginning of the film, the students are very doubtful of Johnny's capabilities as a Kumu. Still, eventually, their relationship grows into one of mutual respect and a shared purpose. The bond that they share is shown throughout their performance as they move in perfect synchronization. At the film's start, Johnny is a struggling lounge singer, which shows his disconnect from authentic Hawaiian traditions. He sings for tourists, giving them a flashy, commercial version of Hawaiian culture that pulls him away from his true roots. Johnny's journey also sheds light on Hawaiian masculinity through hula. As a male kumu hula, he embodies a traditional role that outsiders often don't get. While hula might seem feminine, it has a deep historical and spiritual significance for men in Hawaiian culture. Watching Johnny grow from a cocky, insecure performer to a committed teacher shows his acceptance of a balanced masculinity that finds strength in being vulnerable, offering mentorship, and taking cultural responsibility. A big part of Johnny's growth comes from his relationships with other characters in the film, especially with his late mentor, Auntie Margaret. At the film's beginning, she represents everything Johnny has lost and desperately wants back in his life. Through interactions with his students, Johnny starts to use her teachings to form a bond with them. As the movie progresses, so does he. As his passion for guiding the students grows, they eventually learn to trust him, leaving no more doubt. Johnny's story is about rediscovering himself as a Hawaiian man. Understanding these layers of his character makes his performance even more impactful. Johnny fully embraces his role as a Kumu, reconnecting with his heritage and inspiring the next generation to carry it on. The final performance in the Hayumana takes place in a setting about respect and community. The stage is simple but meaningful, surrounded by lush greenery and warm lighting. The camera shifts between close-ups of their hands and faces, while showing their intense focus and wider shots of how the dancers move in unity. Johnny sits on the floor, ready to command the drum and starts singing while the dancers line up before him. The expressions on their faces show their concentration and pride for hula. The dance begins with a calm stillness and then flows into a smooth movement. Their hands glide through the air, and their shoulders and torsos move gently. My favorite part of their dance is how steady and smooth their hips move to the rhythm, along with their feet keeping a light and steady beat. The music played by Johnny in the background is played on a traditional Hawaiian instrument and accompanied by a chant. The beat from the drum sets the pace for the dancers as they follow its rhythm. Their movements match the tempo, and Johnny's chants sound amazing. The dance almost feels like a living prayer, each gesture honoring their ancestors and culture. The final performance in the Hayumana is a huge moment for Johnny Kaloa, showing his journey toward self-discovery and rekindling his cultural identity, values, and leadership. Through the dance and relationship with his students, Johnny shows how he completely shifted his spirit compared to the movie's beginning, from a man disconnected from his culture and history to a leader who embodies the teachings of hula and Hawaiian tradition. In this performance, Johnny fully embraces his role as a kumu hula, showing humility and respect while empowering his students to carry on a shared legacy. As a native Hawaiian, he's navigating a society shaped by colonial history, where his culture often gets watered down and overlooked. This feeling of disempowerment comes through in his job as a lounge singer, where he mainly performs a simplified version of Hawaiian culture for tourists. His work in the tourist industry highlights how his people's traditions are constantly being erased and exploited. He's financially struggling. This reflects how class and race together limit opportunities for him to be his true self and honor his culture. Additionally, gender plays a significant role in how Johnny sees himself as his power. Both men and women traditionally practice hula, but it often gets viewed as a feminine art form in Western culture. Johnny has to deal with these gender stereotypes while showing the strength and dignity of being a male kumu hula. At first, he connects his masculinity to his lounge singer persona, which is all about being charmful. But with Auntie Margaret's mentorship and his rediscovery of what hula really means in a spiritual and communal sense, he redefines his masculinity to care, be vulnerable, and take care of his culture. Johnny finds his strength in his role as a kumu. When he leads his students in the final performance, he shows authority, not through dominance as he previously did, but through his service and connection to them. He becomes a bridge between the past and present, using his cultural knowledge to inspire and uplift the next generation. His students, who might have been adrift without his guidance, are proof of the lasting power of Hawaiian traditions. Through the Hayumana, viewers greatly understand hula as a living tradition of Hawaiian culture. The film does a good job of portraying hula as a sacred storytelling art that connects dancers to their ancestors, land, and community. It also highlights the role of a kumu hula as a cultural significance, showing the use of traditional instruments and the precision in their movements. In the film's final scene, two things stand out to me. The film really highlights how important mentorship is to keep traditions alive, and also dives into the mix of cultural identity, showing how Johnny struggles in the beginning to find himself. The Hayumana encourages viewers to think about their own ties to tradition and identity, celebrating the strength of Hawaiian culture.